Welcome to another live Q&A session with Oliver Velez. Of course, my name is Oliver Velez. And yeah, let's do this again. Why not? Why not do this again? I'm trying again, guys. I'm trying. I don't give up. I found a way, I think, to see your comments live. At least when I'm doing video. All right. So, yes, come on in, guys. Make yourselves comfortable. Grab the beverage of your choice. We've got some sparkling water. Love this sparkling water, guys. My favorite. No sodium. It's great. Get yourself some. I'm seeing your comments. Yes, I am seeing your comments. Welcome. Wow, this is such a pleasure. The last few times I've attempted to do a live video through Twitter. And I know that this platform is predominantly a text-based or text-oriented platform. But I'm finding that if I mix some of my lives with audio, along with obviously my text-oriented posts with some live, we get a nice little mixture. You know, sometimes it's good to be able to see directly into the face of the person that you're speaking to or with or hearing. And so this format gives me the ability to do that. But I am seeing your comments, guys. So welcome. What's up, guys? Let me see if I okay, awesome. I can't make posts, so I'll figure that out, but I am seeing yours. All right, good. Guys, I hope you don't mind the glasses. Now, last night when I did my live, I was on for about 45 minutes and then I sort of got cut off at the end, but it was the end anyway. But I tried to do this with the lights in my eyes for 45 minutes. And I just had like 4 hours after that of the worst migraine. Where this comes from in my background is that I spent many years on Wall Street staring at monochrome screens. Most of you don't even know what monochrome screens are. Those are the black screens with the green lettering. When I first started trading, guys, there were no charts. We were ticker tape readers. We just basically read quotes. We watched order flow via those quotes. And all we really primarily needed was a screen that showed the quotes going by. And these were all monochrome screens at the time. And I think just all of that the years and years of staring at monochrome screens created an extra sensitivity in my eyes. So today, lights, which I have to have because believe it or not, it's relatively dark in here without these. Lights just give me tremendous migraine. So the shades inside do help minimize that effect. All right. So for those of you who are wondering why does this dude have sunglasses inside of his own house? So now you know. All right, guys. So what do you want to talk about? From my understanding, yesterday when we were attempting to do a Q&A session, I had to sort of wing it with certain predetermined topics that I wanted to touch upon because I couldn't see your comments, but I can see your comments now. I can see your questions now. So ask away, guys. Anything your heart desires. I'm a big boy. I can handle it, whether you think it's nice or not, or instructive, what have you. Just keep the comments above the 80 IQ level, and I think we'll be fine. All right. I think we'll be fine if we keep the comments above the IQ level of a 80 at least. All right. I don't think I can go below 80. All right. So let's do that. Laser eyes. That's right, Raput. That's right. April, good to see you here. Hope the baby's okay. All right. Shades to block the laser eyes. Yeah, I don't want to burn you guys up. Laser eyes are bright these days. Whoo! Yeah. All right, guys. Good. Be nice to see how this looks actually. Oh yeah, cool. I see it. All right, guys. So ask away. As a preface for our talk here today, I'm going to tell you that by no means, once again, by no means do I consider myself a Bitcoin expert. Quite the contrary, guys. I actually consider myself somewhat of a baby, and I feel like as the deeper and deeper I go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, the deeper the rabbit hole seems to get. There is no horizon. That horizon that you feel is full understanding continues to just become more and more of a distant object the deeper you go down the rabbit hole. At least that's been my experience. And what I found about Bitcoin is that it takes you into so many different additional rabbit holes. I've been in the financial space for 40 plus years, and I just can't. It's amazing. I continue to be astounded today how much Bitcoin has helped me see that my entire industry, my financial education, never really touched upon. And I do think that this is partly by design. I think that when you're in a system that is specifically created and designed to keep the masses in check to a certain extent, to maintain control of the money supply, to set the price of money, you have to sort of educate people to support that system, promote that system, be a part of that system, encourage people to enter that system. And so there are certain, I would say there are certain things, I don't know, there's certain knowledge and information that is counterproductive to that cause, and it's basically left out. Money, the numbers of people on Wall Street and responsible for handling trillions of dollars of wealth, of value that is supposedly owned by hardworking people. The level of ignorance by these people is astounding to me. And their lack of understanding of what true money is also mind-boggling to me. And these are the people that the vast majority of people are entrusting their futures to. One of the things I found out in my starry-eyed attempt and ultimate breakthrough into the Wall Street scene was how little the people on Wall Street cared. That really affected me almost from the start. There was almost this attitude that the people that they were supposed to be caring for, supposed to be looking out for, supposed to be serving, were actually looked at as the people that they used to dump on and laugh about, clipping them for this and taking a little bit over here. I began to understand very quickly on Wall Street how dirty the game was and how fiat minded it was. It was just basically all about grabbing your bonus at the end of the year, and you did whatever you needed to do to make that bonus at the end of the year as big as possible, whether that involved cheating, whether that involved stealing legally. There's legal theft in a certain way, whether that was clipping each one of your clients for an extra, what we used to call teenies in the day before decimalization. The market was priced in fractions. And so we call teenies 1/16th of a dollar. And it was common practice to clip your clients every single order of a few teenies. That's what we'd call them, 1/16th teenies. And this little shaving of these fractions of a penny over millions and millions of orders, they would add up and would actually go towards your bonus at the end of the year. It was absolutely insane. Some of the games that I also played, I played some of those games as well, especially in pre-market trading, tricking retail into sending a market order and removing my order so that I could have the market order execute at a different price. And there were a lot of practices that today are illegal, but was legal at the time, such as spoofing your orders and things of that nature. So Wall Street was a very big eye opener for me. It was a pleasure for me to walk away from that in 1994 to start my own firm under my own direction, and been solo ever since that point, 1994. So anyway, it's an interesting world out there. And guys, this is one of the reasons why I am such a big stickler about Bitcoin maintaining the ethos and the purpose that I believe it's come into our lives. Bitcoin is an exit looked at one way. It's an exit that leads to freedom outside of that nonsense, outside of the theft, outside of the dishonesty, outside of the total manipulation and control of a system that you just basically are literally at the will and whim of other men. It is freedom outside of a system that is actually failing. Our system is failing. All you have to do is look at, for instance, in the United States, the US debt. We're adding, guys, we're adding $500 billion in additional debt every 100 days. I think that's the number. Anyway, these numbers are so gargantuan, guys, that they almost don't matter anymore, right? And all you need to do is look at the debt situation in the United States, which is supposedly the most powerful economic nation state in the country. It's failing. The US dollar, which we have been taught and indoctrinated, brainwashed to wake up every single day and work for, to give our lives for, a dollar, a money, a coupon that's created by other men. We're indoctrinated to give our life for that, to give our energy, our effort, to give as much as half, and sometimes in many cases, 3/4 of our lives to earn a money that has lost 99+% of its value since the Federal Reserve came into existence in 1913. This is insane. And what's interesting about this whole thing is that we've been taught that it's normal. We've been taught that it's normal for prices to go up. It's normal for an economic system to have a healthy level of inflation, which is a fancy word for theft of your time. They even tell us in our face that you're going to have to work 2% harder for every single thing that you need in your life until you die. So the groceries you bought this year for your family, to feed your family, that's going to be 2%. We strive for a 2% theft rate. We're going to steal from the dollar we demand that you wake up every single day and give your life for. But we're going to actually make that dollar that you work for every single day of your life. We're going to make sure that dollar is 2% less, which is 2% inflation, means the purchasing power is 2% less. We're going to make the dollar 2% less. We're going to make you have to work 2% more for the same groceries every single year of your life. That's 2% at best. And the real number is more like 8 to 12%. All right. So the stated number is a 2% theft. The real number is 8 to 12%, depending upon the year. And as we know, in the year 2020 into 2021, it was closer to 40%, right? 35 to 40%. So they tell us in our faces that 2%, we're going to shave off a little of the value from you, all right, of this dollar that we're going to coerce you to give your life for. And we're going to make you have to run on your hamster wheel every single year, just 2% faster for the same groceries, for the same gas in your car, for the same transportation, for the same everything. And you are going to have to do this every single year of your life until you die. So life won't get better for you if you don't run faster every single year. And a lot of people don't even know why. They sense something is wrong, but they don't understand, why does life seem to get harder for me after a few years? Why isn't it getting easier? I was told this when I was a kid. I was told, if you put your head down, you get educated, you work hard enough, and things should get better in the future. But why do I feel like it's getting harder? Why do I feel like it's getting more messed up? And this is the reason. So if you were to talk like this to the vast majority of people on Wall Street, these are the people who are we're supposed to look up to as the people to protect us against this. They are not even aware of this. And I wasn't aware of it as well. I just took it as being the way it was. And I won at the system. There are a few people who get on that hamster wheel and they run 100 times faster than the 2%. So if they run 100 times faster and you're only required to run 2 to 8% faster, then you do get ahead. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. And only a very small handful of people are in that position where they run 100 to 1,000 times faster than is necessary. It doesn't need to be that way. This is the common form of financial slavery. And it's the reason why I'm constantly pounding the table on self-custody Bitcoin, because if your Bitcoin is not outside of that system, then you strip the most special thing that human beings have ever come in contact with, which is the exit away from that, the freedom away from that, the lack of the freedom from another man's control to debase you by 2%, 8%, 12%. If you put your Bitcoin in that system, then you're negating the very one of its most special qualities. It is my escape from that system. It is my freedom from that system. And what I'm supposed to do with that is take a little bit from the system and throw it over there outside of the system. And every single week, throw a little bit more outside of the system. I have to work in the system. I have to be in the world. I don't have to be of the world, but I have to be in the world. I've got to play the game. And I get these little pieces and I throw it out of the system. And that part out of the system grows and grows and grows and grows until, because you fed it, and because it's mathematically designed to increase your value, increase your wealth every 4 years of your life, it grows to the point where it says, okay, now you can leave. Now you're free. Now you're subject to no man. Now no one can debase you. You don't have to give your life to another human being. You don't have to subject yourself to be inflated away, controlled by someone else, told no when you really want yes. It doesn't come right away, but this is what it offers. But if you take that freedom technology and you give it to the very system that is making your life harder every single year until you die, you strip it, you disrespect it. And so I will go up against anyone any day of the week, twice on Sunday, who suggests that no, in the system is better. All right. That is bozo talk. And that is a lack of understanding of what Bitcoin is. It is disrespecting Bitcoin in a way where you're just looking at it as just another Wall Street product. It's another product to stay in the system and run on my hamster wheel and make more of dollars and that. Like, come on. Anyway, that's my 2 cents anyway, guys. That's my 2 cents anyway. My 2 sats, I should say. That's my 2 cents. All right. All right. All right. Bitcoin's freedom money. And I strongly believe that it is not enough to buy this freedom technology for the purpose of taking advantage of its number go up characteristic. That will always be with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is inextricably intertwined with the failing system, but it's the opposite of the failing system. So it's designed to do the opposite of the failing system. If the system continues to fail, if the purchasing power of the dollar or any fiat currency for that matter continues to drop, Bitcoin will continue to rise. The dollar can't drop without Bitcoin rising. It's literally designed to do the opposite. So every time the system tries to steal from you, Bitcoin goes up. Wow. Every time it tries to take advantage of you, Bitcoin goes up. Every time they try to debase you, Bitcoin goes up. Every time the dollar loses its purchasing power, Bitcoin goes up. Every time there's fraud, Bitcoin goes up. Every time they do wrong by you, Bitcoin goes up. It is the opposite of all of their wrongdoing. And you have to be careful with this because when you truly understand this part of Bitcoin, you actually catch yourself hoping and wishing for them to be as evil as they always were and more evil, because the more evil, the more wrongdoing, the higher Bitcoin's value. It's literally their cost for continuing to do the wrong thing. Their cost is Bitcoin becomes bigger. They make Bitcoin bigger, more powerful, more invincible by being more corrupt, more untrue. It's amazing. It's amazing. And if you just get into Bitcoin, yeah, I just want it to go up and make more dollars. I want more dollars. You're freaking bozo. You haven't hit the books enough. You're still mired in that world, guys. I've been in that world. I conquered that world. I'm telling you, it's time to look outside of it. And Bitcoin's come at the perfect time to help us do this because the acceleration to the downside is faster at this point than it's ever been. And it's not going to get better. It is only going to get worse. The acceleration to the downside is only going to get faster. All right, guys, what are your questions here? James Trash is saying, when do I think Bitcoin will hit 1 million? Just your honest guess. Wait a minute. Where did I put my crystal ball? I have it around here somewhere, right? Ah, here it is. Dude, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know when it's going to hit 1 million, but I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. Okay. I'll tell you this. Many of you've heard me say this before, but repetition has a value. And so I don't mind repeating myself at times. History is no guarantee of the future. We know that. That should go without being said. Okay. But it truly is the only thing we have as a mechanism to try to project probabilities into the future. So we're not supposed to throw away the past just because it's not a guarantee. It's the only thing we have. And so we have to use it. It's almost like the weather report, right? It's wrong frequently sometimes less frequently. But it's the only thing we have if we're planning a wedding or a picnic, right? It's the only thing we have. And there are ways to take the past and come up with intelligent probabilities. And so to take James's question about when we might hit 1 million, let's touch upon the past a little bit, okay? In the past, and Bitcoin has a 15-year history, the price of Bitcoin at the halving, which is coming up around more or less April 21st, the price of the halving, on average, 10x's. Now think about this, guys. Think about this. We're at 71,000, 72,000. Let's call it 70,000 to round it off. Let's say at the halving by April 21st, we stay right here. We're at 70,000. What I am telling you is that the price every single time in the past, the price at the halving on average has 10x'd. Sometimes it's done multiple times. It's done way more than 10x, but 10x is around what history says you can count on that. History says you can count on a 10x from the halving price. Now, what's 10x from 70,000? 700,000, right? Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin's going to do that. I'm just looking at the past, which is the only thing we have, and saying, well, we've got 15 years. It's done this every single time. Oh my God. Now, here's what I do. If we are at $70,000 by the halving, and every single time it's 10x or more, or close to it, because last cycle was a little more subdued. So it was 8x, 9x. Okay, but 10x, I say conservatively, cut that in half. So 5x. So 700, cut it in half. And now you're at 350 as a conservative number. This Bitcoin's never done a 5x from its halving price. That's way undercutting. And Bitcoin has done this in the past without institutional sponsorship, without the ETFs, without a constant institutional bid in the market. This is stupefying, guys. This is life-changing. Do you understand? And if, it's saying that, and if, let me see something here. Did I just, that's weird. I think it says I'm still live. Okay. I just got a weird message here. So at 350, which is very conservative based on that number, that's even life-changing. But let's even go further. Let's cut that in half. And now, if we're cutting 700 in half twice, right? We're getting to a number that is virtually, based on history, absolutely guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. So, is it possible that because Bitcoin, without ETFs, without institutional sponsorship in the past, without a constant institutional bid in the market every single moment of its life, you do realize that's what the ETFs do bring. A bid, a buyer, every single moment of Bitcoin's life forever. Institutional bid. If Bitcoin without this, always 10x or more, can it more than 10x with all of these things? With the institutional sponsorship, with the ETFs, with the constant bid, with the regulatory clarity, with the FASB rule change, with the blueprint now proven to be successful by Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, with nation states warming up to Bitcoin, with the hash rate going through the roof, with more mining coming. I mean, can it, with all of these things that it never had, it 10x or more, can it this time more than 10x? Absolutely. And so, James, I know that was a long, circuitous route to get to an answer. Is 1,000 possible this cycle? And what I mean by this cycle is by late 2025? Yes. Now, I am not pulling that out of my ass. Do you understand? I just walked you through a very intelligent, historically based, mathematical probability. It's not a zero probability. It's not even a tiny, tiny, tiny close to zero probability, not based on history. So who knows? Who knows? We can't predict any black swans that might rear their ugly heads. We don't know. But I would say that if you're trying to come up with the most conservative scenario for yourself, a framework, I think there's nothing wrong with having a framework, right? Then you take that 10x from wherever the halving price winds up being. It might be lower than 70, who knows? But by April 21st, whatever the halving price is, you 10x that, you cut it in half twice, and that, based on history, is as close to a guarantee as you possibly can. Now, I will say this. I'm going to take his comment off because I think I've answered it. But I will say this. If someone gave you a winning lottery ticket that could be, but it could only be cashed in at the end of 2025. And this winning lottery ticket, it is a guaranteed winner of $175,000. But you can make it bigger by doing whatever you have to do now until the cash in of your ticket date. Wouldn't you go out into the world and do everything you possibly can to make that $175,000 number really count for you? I say that's pretty close to a guarantee based on history. And we're at 70,000, 175. So you should be doing everything you possibly can at 70,000 to make that 175 number really life-changing for you when it comes. And this is my message. Your window of opportunity is closing. You don't have a lot of time. Bitcoin has already outpriced 95% of all human beings on Earth. They can't have one Bitcoin. This cycle, it is going to outprice 99.9% of every, I would say 99% of all human beings on Earth to get one Bitcoin. And the next cycle, it's going to outprice even those who have the fiat bullshit currency. To get one, one's just not available. Your time is running out. And we are going to quickly move to a world where no one is going to speak about one Bitcoin, that everything's going to be spoken in Satoshis. You understand? There was a time in Bitcoin's past where no one spoke about one Bitcoin. People talked about Bitcoin in the tens of thousands in the beginning. Do you understand? No one talked about one Bitcoin. It was too small of a unit. No one ever mentioned one Bitcoin in 2009, 2010. No one. They talked in the thousands of Bitcoin. Do you understand? 1,600, 4,200 Bitcoin. No one would say 1 Bitcoin. Say, what are you talking about? The Satoshi is the equivalent of what 1 Bitcoin used to be years ago. There is going to become a time where no one is going to talk about 1 Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Satoshis because that's too big. Do you understand? And so this is coming upon us faster than anything else in the human experience has ever come upon us. There is nothing faster than Bitcoin. There has been nothing in the human experience faster than Bitcoin. It's running away from you at this level. It will never run away from the human race. It will always be available, always be accessible. But at what level? What I'm telling you is that this level, where it's still possible for some of you to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Bitcoin, that's going away in 2 years. And in another 2 years, 4 years, another cycle, nobody's going to be talking about 1 Bitcoin. Not amongst your neighbors, not amongst your family, not amongst your friends, not amongst your church groups. Nobody's going to be talking. They're going to be talking about 1/4 of a Bitcoin. I got 1/10 of a Bitcoin. And then a few cycles later, no one's going to be talking about 1/4 or 1/10. They're going to be talking about Satoshis. Get yourself to where you need to be now, guys. Do it. Get yourself to where you need to be. Um, all right. First one, he says, my IQ is 120. I hope OV doesn't grade me down with the question. No, of course. What's your question here? Let's see. Let me see what guys, if I don't, because there's a lot of questions going by here, so don't feel shy about asking. Don't be overly obnoxious here by just putting a bot in place and all I see is your question, but nothing wrong with repeating your question every now and then. Just don't be obnoxious about it, right? Just so that I don't have to scroll up all the time here. Newbies is saying, what is Bitcoin's biggest hurdle moving forward? That's actually a very good question, Newbies. I'm going to rephrase your question. What are some of the things that keep me up at night, if there are any, about Bitcoin? What could go wrong? There's always the possibility, guys, of a technical glitch of somehow that's just a black swan technical glitch that's just unforeseen. After all, it is, in one sense, a technology. I just think that there are so many eyes on Bitcoin. Not that it's perfect, and we don't want it to be perfect. Not now. You don't want perfection now. And I'll touch upon that in just a second again. But there's so many eyes, and Bitcoin has attracted some of the brightest minds on planet Earth and will continue to do so. There will be a point in the future, guys, where every single human being will work for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be the largest employer on planet Earth. It is the only technology that actually no human beings control, no human beings run, and the only no human beings can manipulate, pause it, turn it off, shut it down. Every single piece of technology is in the absolute control of human beings. They can stop it, they can halt it, they can shut it down. This is the only one in the history of the human race and on our planet at the current moment. I don't know about any other planets, but this one, Bitcoin's the only network that is not influenced in any way by human beings. It is also the only network that employs human beings. Like the servers on the Google server farms, they don't employ Google employees, do they? Bitcoin employs human beings. Bitcoin has a pay schedule and says, look, dude, this is what I pay out. I pay out 6.25 Bitcoin. And by the way, April 21st, my pay goes down to 3.125 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. That's my pay. Anyone can work for me. It's a competition. Knock yourselves out. But I pay every single time. And they are human beings scrambling for the payment. Bitcoin is literally employing human beings. What technology freaking does that? Except Bitcoin. To get back to the question, it already has some of the brightest minds on planet Earth employed by it, looking after it. There's so many eyes on the code and so forth and so on. We've got 15 years, and every single hour, every single day, it increases the probability that nothing bad is going to happen. Every time you wake up, Bitcoin is more secure, exponentially so, safer, exponentially so, more solid, longer, stronger, more invincible. In fact, every 10 minutes of its life, it's like a chain, right? A new block gets added. And each link, each block makes Bitcoin that much harder to hack, mess with, crack, control. And if it hasn't happened in 15 years, it is now highly likely that nothing bad is going to happen. What potentially can slow it down? Cutting off. If nation states got together in a collaborative way, good luck with that. You can't get two congressmen to agree on anything. You're going to get nations all over the world agreeing. All right, but let's go there. Your major nations get together, like the G20 or whatever, and they all agree. We're just going to shut off the on-ramps to Bitcoin. No one can buy Bitcoin directly. You got to buy our paper one. That, and we're not going to let someone sell Bitcoin. You can sell the paper one that we make accessible to you. You can't buy Bitcoin directly. That's against the law now. You can't sell Bitcoin, and we will jail anyone who receives real Bitcoin, or the spender will be jailed and the receiver will be jailed. No one can accept Bitcoin. No one can buy Bitcoin. Now, the probability of something like that is extraordinarily low. But you did ask what could slow it down. That won't stop Bitcoin. In fact, it'll only make it more valuable. What happened to in the early 1930s? What happened when the United States made alcohol illegal? What happened to the prices? Did they go down? Was alcohol crushed or destroyed by any means, by any stretch of the imagination? Hell no. Prices skyrocketed. People wanted alcohol more. People who never drank said, wait a minute, it's against the law. I want to drink now. Yeah. It'll only make it more valuable more desirable. And I believe that nation states today understand, especially as it's connected to Bitcoin, that whenever you try to ban something connected to Bitcoin, here's the number. It goes up in interest 400%. Now, that's a study. That is an historical study from all the countries that have attempted to do what I'm explaining. Take the exit ramps off, take the on and off ramps off, ban it, turn it into a bad thing. 400% explosion in the interest of Bitcoin. And so you haven't heard very much about countries wanting to do that now because they're not idiots. They understand that that is not the way you attack this thing, that it only makes it stronger. 15 years of history, every single attack has made Bitcoin stronger. You almost want attacks. Do you understand? The attacks that don't work prove its invincibility. It's almost like Bitcoin's like, yeah, bring it on, but bring it on. Yeah. That's not going to do anything. Bring it on. It'll just be a freaking multi-billion-dollar marketing campaign of how I can't be killed. So, yeah, baby. Not very much worries me, to be honest with you. Not at this point. If you were to ask me this, if I were a Bitcoiner in 2011, 12, but these concerns are largely very close to zero today. But good question, though. Cal says, me outstacking you is your only hurdle. No, please outstack me. It's not going to be that easy. Not going to be that easy. But outstack me, please. Try. And this is true. That's how you feel. It's almost too good to be true. But guys, isn't it about time? What makes Bitcoin so invincible is, number one, its lack of physicality. How do you fight an enemy that is not physical? How do you fight an idea? Where do you go? Where do you point your gun? What side of it do you stab with a knife? Where's the headquarters? Who's running it? Who put this thing together? Like, how do you combat 12 words? Think about this. Bitcoin is your 12 words to 24 words. I like to use 12 because 12 is enough. Bitcoin's your 12 words. Bitcoin is information. Where is information? Point to it for me. Go to it. Hand it to me. I want you to put information right there. I want to see it. How do you combat information? How do you combat words, language? How do you take information from someone once they have it? It's impossible. I'll give you an example. You now know that 1 + 1 = 2. Now, how does someone attack that? How does someone attack 1 + 1 = 2? How does someone take it from you? How does someone steal that knowledge once you are aware of that? This makes Bitcoin invincible because for the first time our word truly is our bond. Remember that statement? My word is my bond. Well, for the first time, it's for real. Your word is your bond. Your word is your value. Your word is your everything. And no one can take your word away from you. So it's lack of physicality. It's not being physical is one thing that makes it invincible. The second thing, in my opinion, that makes Bitcoin so invincible is the fact that it's the only thing on earth that human beings do not control. Now sit back, guys. Come on, do this. Sit back and ponder on this. Everything on the planet is controlled by human beings. Everything except one thing. No human controls Bitcoin. Everything is influenced by human beings. No human beings influence Bitcoin. Everything on earth can be shut down by human beings. No human beings can shut down Bitcoin. Oh my God. So when you realize its invincibility, you understand where the final domino falls. If you can't beat this thing, what do you have to do? If it's here to stay, and we can't control it, we can't stop it, you embrace it. Can't beat them, you join them. And that's what you're starting to see. You're starting to see massive adoption, embracing, because they have to. Or you let this thing run you out of existence. You have to embrace it or you die. And that's what you're seeing now. Every moment of Bitcoin's existence, Bitcoin was jumped. Do you understand me? You know what jumped is? I'm using a term from my childhood. I grew up in the Bronx, guys. I got jumped all the time in my childhood. I fought every single day of my little life getting to my mother's library after school. I had to choose, wait a minute, I'll get jumped less this route today. And then if I go that route, I had to fight a lot when I was a kid. But anyway, I think that's why I'm a fighter now. But Bitcoin got jumped by all the major countries in the world every single moment of its life. It's probably still being jumped. There are hacker groups that are specifically assigned by every single nation state that matters in this world 24 hours a day trying to crack Bitcoin. You don't think so? The incentive to do so, the incentive for succeeding at that is just too big not to. And if it hasn't been successful up until this point, it just ain't going to happen, because every 10 minutes you fall behind, Bitcoin exponentially leaps away from you. You got 10 minutes to crack this thing. You got 10 minutes to hurt it. And once that next block comes in, everything repopulates. It's like, holy shit, we lost all of our work again? We got to start from scratch again? The fuck? What the? Every 10 minutes it repopulates and then exponentially leaves you. Then you got to run and catch up to it and start from scratch again. Guys, it's just so insane when you truly understand what this is. It's a miracle, and it makes you almost ponder the unfathomable, right? Maybe it wasn't created by human beings. I don't know. It's just wild. Wild. Uh, all right. Um, yeah. So Nick is saying, yeah, human beings run the nodes. That is true. And human beings mine. So as I told you, Bitcoin is the only living network on planet Earth that has human beings serve it. You see, every other network serves human beings. This is the only one that human beings serve. Do you understand? A node runner is serving Bitcoin. A miner is working for Bitcoin for a payment. There's no network that pays human beings outside of Bitcoin. There's no network that human beings are actually borrowing billions of dollars to work for it. So, yeah, human beings serve it through running nodes and through mining. Nodes and mining used to be synonymous, they used to be together. And about 2013, I think they split into two separate functions. But yeah, it's wild. It's just freaking wild, man. It's wild. The US dollar will be in use for the next 50 years, regardless. Maybe, probably. But there is some history that you should be aware of, right? So if you were to Google this now, I don't even know if I can I do this? If you were to do this now, let me show you this. I'll show you. This is pretty cool. I think I can do this. If I were to Google this right now and let me do it, I'll do it right in front of you. Okay. Boom. There we go. So you should be seeing my Google here. If we were to search the average, right? The average lifespan of a fiat currency. Look at what you get. Take a look at this. 27 years. It's actually 27 to 35 years. Do you see that? According to a 218 study, the average lifespan of a fiat currency is 27 years. Now, Bitcoin is just about the 100-year mark. It depends on where you start, but let's use 100 years. Okay? Now, think about this. This is crazy, right? It's crazy. How do I do this now? How do I get myself back here? Okay. So, with that in mind, you have to understand that there are two types of fiat currencies. There are the currencies that have an average lifespan of 27 to 35 years. They come and go, just like everything else in life does, right? Everything in life comes and goes at varying rates, at different rates. But then there are those currencies, and then there's the world reserve currencies, and that's where the dollar comes in. So the world reserve currencies, they have a different lifespan, and their lifespan, the average lifespan of a world reserve currency, let me see. Check this out, guys. Let's do it again. The average lifespan of a world reserve currency, look at the number. I'll wait. Let me take a sip of my water while you read this. 100 years. All right. Sip of water taken. Now I ask you, is the US a world reserve currency? How old is it? Around 100 years. When did Bitcoin come into existence? 2009? Just on time, buddy. Wow. Wow. So, from an historical point of view, now remember we talked about history, right? The past is no guarantee that it's going to be the same thing, but it's the only thing we have to use, right? We don't throw it away just because it's not absolutely a guarantee. If you don't use the past to use it as a way to create a framework for probabilities into the future, then you're just sitting there with your thumbs. Like you got to use something. And the only thing we have to use is the past. And so the decline of the US dollar is definitely, guys, the decline of the US dollar. Give me a second here, right? The dollar's decline is already in full swing. So the peak has already occurred. That's behind us. The peak of the US dollar is behind us, guys. So we're in the declining phase of this world reserve currency. Do you understand this? You have to understand this. You can't possibly think that, and I'll do this here. You can't possibly think that this is not the you can't possibly think that this is not in a declining state. Now, as a world reserve currency, right? As a world reserve currency begins its decline, its descent, doesn't happen overnight. There is always something simultaneously rising while the reserve currency is declining. What do you think that is? The euro? The Chinese yuan? The renminbi? The Japanese yen? No. Oh, I got one for you. The Argentinian peso. That's the one? No. Which one is rising? There's only one rising. Do you see where I'm getting at, people? You start to put the pieces together and it's like, psh, you know? So these are all very fascinating things for me, guys. I don't know. I find this extraordinarily fascinating, you know? I hope you don't find it boring, but it's exhilarating and it's exciting. And I believe that we should consider ourselves immensely blessed to be living in this time. You and I are living at a time during which we're witnessing something that for tens of thousands of years, for hundreds to thousands of years, all the people born in 2030 and beyond will never see what we're witnessing right now. All the human beings that are going to be born, there's going to be billions of human beings not born yet. The the latest report, the latest population estimate is for planet Earth to have approximately 10 billion people by the year 2050, right? 10 billion. We're just a little shy of 8 billion today. So we're talking about 2 billion more humans are going to be living by 2050. These people will never witness what we're witnessing, ever. Your grandkids, some of your grandkids, maybe even some of your kids, if they're young enough, will say, you lived during a time where someone actually gave you Bitcoin for the government's money? Really? Why were you guys so stupid? Like the most but daddy, granddad, the most valuable thing on earth, people were getting rid of it for this? You're like, Johnny, yes, we didn't know. People were selling it, dad, granddad, people were selling it. We didn't know. People doubted it. We didn't know. There will come a time in your lifetime. I'm not talking 1,000 years, your lifetime, where you will not be able to buy Bitcoin. I know there's a ton of you and be like, Oliver, come on. You're not going to be able to buy it. Nobody's going to be able to buy it. It's disappearing. Guys, you think I'm the only one who's not going to give it up? I'm the only person on earth. I buy every day. I make it disappear every single day of my life. You think I'm the only one? Every hour, there's a new Oliver Velez. Every day, there's a bunch of new Oliver Velezes that come out of the ether and say, I'm not letting this go either. What do you give up, the most valuable thing on earth and the scarcest thing on earth? What do you give it up for? The 27th most valuable thing? Knowing that you'll never get it back. Think of it this way. Think of it this way. Think of it this way, guys. There's 8 billion people on earth. What if there were only 21 million homes? Scratch that. What if there were only 16 million homes? 5 million's gone. They were destroyed. Natural disasters. 16 million homes for 8 billion people. Wouldn't the people in the homes, everyone else is homeless. There's only 16 million families that have shelter in the entire world. They are going to be considered very special, very fortunate, very blessed because the rest of the world's homeless. Do you think any of those families would sell their home to become homeless? No, right? Why? Because they know they'll never have a home again, ever. Ever. Never. My mom used to say, Oliver, never say never, because you never know. Mom, sorry. Never. Never. Never, 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 never. They would never give up a home because they'll never get it back. Now, Bitcoin, there's 16 million that will ever exist. 5 million's gone, destroyed, natural disaster, right? When it becomes the most valuable thing on planet Earth, it will be the most desirable thing on planet Earth. This 16 million will disappear, a portion of it will disappear every single year of your life. Somebody's going to lose it. Somebody's going to fuck up their keys. Just a little bit. Some of it's going to be lost in what's called dust. You got to look that up, guys. Make sure you're not subject to Satoshi dust, right? Where fees get too high and any amount of Satoshi less than the fee becomes dust, useless, can't use it. Dust is going to chip away at that 16 million. People are going to lose it. So it's going to constantly be less. Then you have the Olivers of the world who will never let it go. Guys, I'm telling you, there's going to be a point where no one gives up the most valuable thing, the scarcest thing on planet Earth, the scarcest thing on Earth for your shitty government manipulated piece of paper. I won't even do that today. Now, will some people trade it? Yeah, but not a lot. This will happen in your lifetime, and you're thinking about getting rid of it. How crazy is that? Bozo. Bozo. I'm sorry, guys. I'm silly. My kids tell me, Dad, you stopped growing up when you were 18 years old, didn't you? I'm saying, no, come on. Watch yourself. Be respectful. I stopped growing up at 15. Don't give up the Mona Lisa to fill up your gas tank, to take a vacation. No. Don't do it. I want to touch on this. I mentioned earlier that you don't want Bitcoin to be perfect. Please, please look at it this way. I'm imploring you, right, to look at it this way. I want you to understand that the time of greatest opportunity is not after all the I's are dotted in a thing and all the T's are crossed. You don't sit and wait for it to become perfect and obvious to every single human being on earth and have all the layers on it and all the protocols. And yes, I can borrow against it now and I can do this and I can do that. I'm waiting for all of that to happen first. It's gone. If you're going to wait for that moment with Bitcoin, you will never have Bitcoin, ever. It'll be too late. It'll just be in the hands of people who are like, I'm not giving you anything. For what? What do you have that's worth the most valuable thing on earth and the scarcest thing on earth? What do you have for that, bozo, right? No one is going to do that. And if you wait, but Bitcoin doesn't do this yet, thank God. But the second layer, Oliver, it's not ready yet. Thank God. I can't lend out my Bitcoin and make something on it quite yet so easily. Thank God. We're still early. Thank God. Thank God. We're still early. Because when all of those things are finally there, your biggest opportunity is gone. When's the best time for a prime piece of real estate with a structure on it to get involved with it? If you know this is a guaranteed success. After construction, after everything's done, or before. You don't want this to be perfect. The very fact that it's not, the very fact that there are still a lot of question marks about, well, how am I going to get things in life for it? That's coming. We're just early, and it's coming fast. Every technology happens faster than the last one. Look how fast the internet happened. Look how fast the internet happened. You understand? So that was the past adopted technology. Bitcoin is the internet of money, which is exponentially larger than the internet of information and knowledge. And if every new adopted thing is adopted exponentially faster by orders of magnitude than the prior one, then this is going to put the internet to shame, which is another way of saying your window of opportunity is closing on you. This Bitcoin does not reward the delayer, the waiter, the doubter, the negator, the individual who says, I need to see more first. It doesn't reward that. It rewards those who have the wherewithal to identify the opportunity and its massive potential in the now. Right now, 99.9% of every single person, every individual, every human being who's placed their trust in Bitcoin has been rewarded. 99.9%. You'd have to search far and wide on planet Earth to find someone who bet on Bitcoin, who banked on it and still maintained that trust in Bitcoin. It says, I haven't been rewarded by it. Every single one, every dip buyer that has ever bought a dip in Bitcoin has been rewarded. It has never failed you. It hasn't gone down in the last 10 years. There hasn't been a glitch. There hasn't been a pause. There hasn't been a failure. It has never broken a promise. It's never flip-flopped. It's never changed its mind. It has never failed you. It has remained the same. And yet today, in each one of your lives, you can't find one thing that hasn't failed you. Your significant other has failed you at one point in your relationship, one point or another. That person failed you. Your kids, at some point, I know, I have a lot of them, they failed you. Your parents, they failed you. At one point, maybe not a lot, but they failed you. Your neighbors, your friends, your church, maybe even your God. There is one thing that has never failed, never changed, never flip-flopped on you like a freaking politician you thought was finally the answer to all of the woes in your region. It has stayed true, honorable, kept its word, laid itself to bear, open to anyone to investigate. Look, here I am. Every transaction you can verify from the beginning. Here I am. I produce an audit for you every 10 minutes of my life. Here it is. It's the only thing in life that's certain today. For the first time, we have certainty. And because we have never had certainty in anything, we distrust it because we've never had it. We distrust Bitcoin's certainty. It can't be that certain, but it is. And we doubt it because we've never had it. Why haven't we had certainty? Why has everything failed us at some point or another? Because human beings are fallible, and everything that we've ever had prior to Bitcoin was in the hands of human beings. The control by human beings, the fallibility of human beings transfers to the things that it controls. And so because human beings have controlled every single thing that we have had access to throughout our entire lives, throughout the entire evolutionary process of the human race, everything has failed because the controller is fallible. And this is the first thing that's come into our existence that is not in the hands of human beings, that is not run or controlled by human beings, and therefore it can be certain. And it's going to take some time for people to understand that. But I'm just going to try to help speed that understanding up for you. Yeah. Wow. For the first time, we have certainty. Why are the clearing houses important? Okay. First of all, let me just tell you what clearing houses are. Clearing houses, when we talk about institutions, just understand we're talking about clearing houses. People, when we say institutions are here because the ETFs have been approved and there's just billions of dollars flowing into them, institutions haven't started yet. That's the wirehouses. That's the clearing houses. That's the institutional world. That's like the rails. The institutional world works on rails. They can't kind of leave the tracks of the infrastructure. So Bitcoin's always been off the infrastructure. And some of them be like, wow, that's pretty interesting. But wow, we can't do it. It's not on our rails. We can't, our train can't get off the rails. So they're looking at Bitcoin over there. It's interesting. It's cool. Some decide, I'm not even looking over there. Why? Because it's not on my rails. Wire houses are the rails. Clearing houses are the rails. When they put Bitcoin on the freaking rails, OMG. You think this is something now? Let me tell you something. I've been on Wall Street for 40. That's not true. I've been in the game for 43 years. I've been on Wall Street for 37 years. I'm going to tell you this. A lot of you may not understand how Wall Street adopts. Wall Street will be adopting Bitcoin for 20 years. What we started in January of this year is the start of a 20-year plus long coming in. It doesn't happen like that, but every month, every quarter, every year is more gargantuan than the last for 20 years. Many of you don't understand this freaking avalanche that is about to descend in these waves and waves. And you're going to be like, when does this stop? When does it stop? It doesn't stop. It's going to be one after the other, after the other, after the other. 20 years of that. And they're coming for your Bitcoin. They want your Bitcoin. And let me tell you this, and I'm going to let you go on this, guys. I'll let you go because I've been talking long enough, I think. I don't want you to get tired of me. But let me shoot. I'm going to lose my thought here. It'll come back. It'll come back. 20 years of adoption. 20 years of massive inflows, and they're coming for your Bitcoin. This is it. Got it. Okay. Listen to this. I'm going to end our talk on this, but I need you to take this in. I need you to fully understand this. Smoke on this a little bit. They're not going to sell. People, Wall Street's, they're not going to sell. I need you to understand this. They're not going to sell. People are thinking the Bitcoin going into the ETFs today, that, oh yeah, when, you know, they're going to do portfolio rebalancing, right? Yeah, and they're going to sell at some point. No, please. Are you kidding me? They're not going to sell. There's going to be no massive selling back to you. It's going to go into the system, and it's not going to come out of the system anymore. They're going to take your freaking Bitcoin and never let it leave their system. Now, what do I mean by that? So some person might say, and I know what some of you are thinking, but Oliver, if I'm in the ETF, I've got shares in the ETF, and Bitcoin's at 350,000, and I sell my ETF shares, they have to sell Bitcoin, right? Yes and no. Because remember, they have a constant demand. They have a constant bid in the market. They will sell it to their AP. The Bitcoin is sold by the AP to what? From right pocket to left pocket. They're just going to sell it to another one of their entities. It's just going to hop from this entity to that entity to this entity to that. It's never coming out again. It's not. They know what it is now. Cat's out of the bag. It's disappearing. It's becoming more scarce. The issuance gets cut in four. They're getting it. And guys, I'm telling you, they're smarter than a lot of you. Don't think Wall Street's dumb. Do not think that. There are hardcore Bitcoiners inside of Wall Street. They're educating. They're getting this. You think they're going to let the most valuable thing in the world go back to you? Really? Just get, yeah. Joe Bozo from Kentucky. Yeah, let's give him back the Bitcoin. Yeah, it's the most valuable, scarcest thing on earth, but let's give Joe back the Bitcoin. Never. Right pocket to left pocket. There's right pocket to left pocket to back left pocket to back right pocket. They're just going to, in the system, in there, they're just going to sell it to an offshore entity. They're going to sell it to another institution of theirs that wants it. You're never going to get it out of the system again. And this is what I mean by self-custody this thing, and don't let anybody get their slimy hands on your Bitcoin, because I promise you, they'll let you out of their product, but they won't let you out with the product. They will let you out for shitty paper government money, slave money. You will get slave money when you want to exit, but you will never get this most precious thing. My precious. Honor this, guys. Honor it. Cherish it. Respect it. Don't treat it like another asset. The people out here, including my friend, it's just they're still mired in that system. I've been there, done that. A lot of these people are younger than I am too. And I get it. but they're missing this part that I'm telling you, this freedom part. There is no way in the future with the most valuable thing in the world. Guys, do you realize that at $140,000, 100, let's call it 150, at $150,000, Bitcoin's the most valuable asset in the world outside of gold. Think about it. The most valuable thing outside of gold. Let's put gold aside for now. 150,000. That's not that far away. We've got that in the bag. 150 is in the bag. So the most valuable asset on earth, removing gold, that's in the bag this cycle. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is in the bag. And there is no way that a rational person can ever think that owning this most valuable thing myself is not better than letting someone else own it in exchange for a slip of paper. How? Guys, you're smarter than this. How can someone convince you that I'll let someone else own the most valuable thing in the world? I won't own it because I think the piece of paper they give me is better than owning the most valuable thing on earth. How does that make sense to a rational person? How? How can you think in a financial product made by a man is better than the thing that is the most valuable thing on earth? How can that be better? How? It's impossible. That's akin, and I mentioned this today. It's like saying, wait a minute, I don't want to own the Mona Lisa, which is priceless. Like you can search it, the Mona Lisa is priceless. I don't want to own it. I just want to own a ticket to be able to go look at it and see how and ponder, is that a man or a woman? That's what I want. I think the ticket to go see the Mona Lisa is more valuable than owning the priceless Mona Lisa. If you allow someone to convince you that way, then you don't belong here, because I told you I only want higher IQs than 80 here. I can choose who I spend my time with. I can choose who's around me. I don't want sub 80 IQ rubbing off on me. Ew. Ew. All right, guys, look, that's my talk for tonight. It's truly crazy to think about it, right? To think about it this way. Guys, listen, I will continue to do these sessions. I won't abandon the audio only, because I know a lot of people like those as well, but I will do these every now and then. And I'll also do theme-based ones. What I like about this is that I can show you the screen. I can go to charting and show you things like that as well. We can do some technical sessions and look at Bitcoin in different ways. And so I like this format as well. So I will mix it up. But I will tell you that, I made a promise to myself that I would do this, which is not sustainable for me. I will do this until Bitcoin hits 100,000, and that is it. And I'm gone, not gone from Bitcoin. I will never get rid of my Bitcoin. You've heard me talk here tonight. That's not what I'm talking about, but I won't be here. I'm telling you, I'm not. And if you think that I'm playing around with you, you'll see. You'll see. What I'm doing here is not sustainable. I've got a lot of traveling to do and so forth and so on. So at any rate, 100K, I'm gone. But what I wanted to do was I started pounding the table at the last quarter of the bear market. And I felt that it was so important because I was doing these things with